Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Shining Through. I just feel super grateful today because I have been traveling for the past few weeks with my family and I set myself up for success. I was able to be present and not have to be worrying about what I needed to get done or things that were still on my to-do list. I was able to just release it and be present. And it was so great until I got home. And there was this long list of things that I now got to have the chance to jump back in and do and move forward in my coaching business and do things around the house, not to mention like 12 loads of laundry with 4 boys when you're traveling. And it just started feeling a little bit heavy. Like I just really want to be back on that trip. I don't want to be here in my present life right now. Have you felt that where you just feel a little bit resistant to that to-do list or feel like you don't have enough time or enough energy and you just don't want to do it? Well, this week and next week, I'm going to be talking about some of the energy we have around those moments and how to work through them because I know we all have those resistant, frustrating moments. I had one just earlier today. My boys were walking out the door to go swimming with their dad. And my oldest son turned to me and said, Mom, do you have to stay home? And in that moment, I felt both frustrated and defeated because I did want to go with my son, but I knew how much I had to get done. And so I turned to him and said, Bud, I wish I could go with you, but I need to work on my podcast. I'm sorry. And he gave me a hug and said, That's okay, Mom. And he left. Well, 2 minutes later, my husband called me and said, Before you jump in and do your podcast, look out at the sunset. It is so beautiful. I just don't want you to miss it. And that sweet, well intended phone call took the victim feeling I was having and times it by 10. I just wanted to go out and be enjoying the time with my children, but I also wanted to work on my business and move it forward and record some podcasts so that I didn't feel behind or feel like I had this mountain to climb in front of me. And I'm sure you have these struggles in your everyday life. Those moments where you feel like different competing values are in the ring, duking it out, whether it's spending time with your husband or spending time with your kids. Or maybe it's one of those moments where you look around your house and you feel like there's so much to do that you feel like you just can't relax without feeling guilty for not being productive. These competing values, self care versus service, working versus being present as a mom, spending time with family versus spending time with your in laws. So many things that we value pull us in different directions. And when this happens, thoughts like these come to our head. I just wish I could get this done and then I could relax. Or if I had more time, then I could actually be present with my kids and my family and my friends and my spouse. If I had more time, then I could do the things that I want to do in a day. And I'd be less stressed or worn out by this mountain I feel like I'm having to climb. But do you hear the lies in these thoughts? Underlying all of them is the classic grass is greener on the other side. And it's honestly, my friend, not true. All of these things that follow us around that we feel like we have to do end up leaving us in a victim mentality where we feel like our situation has to change for us to be okay. But what if the truth is the only thing that has to change is our perspective for us to find that peace, that joy, that fulfillment? What if we don't have to get things done to feel relieved? Or we don't have to clean the house to sleep peacefully at night? Or we don't have to record a podcast or do whatever it is on your to-do list to feel accomplished or to take time to be with your family? What if you can find feelings of peace and love and relief and accomplishment in your present moment without anything changing? I promise it's not only possible, it's mandatory for you to enjoy your present moment. If you're constantly chasing some future scenario for you to find the life that you want to live, you won't have space to enjoy the gift of the present and the time that you have now. I found myself stuck in that victim place, wishing things would change for me to be able to spend time with my family, enjoyed the sunset outside. But gratefully, I caught myself in that victim mentality. I paused and said, hold on, I don't have to do anything right now. I get to choose. I am not a victim of my to-do list. I don't need to do a podcast. I only have to if I want to. And then I took a moment and I asked myself a few important questions. First, what really is important to me right now? What do I value? And two things came up: my podcast and my family. And instead of feeling frustrated about those two things and feeling like they are oil and water, I ask myself the next important question: how can I find a way to do both? And once I opened up my mind to creatively solving the problem, I instantly called my husband back and said, hey, come pick me up. I'm coming too. And when I called, my kids all got excited in the background and said, yay, mom's coming to swim with us. And I said, boys, I want to be there with you. So I'm going to bring my computer and work on my podcast while you're swimming. So I can still be with the family and watch the sunset and connect with you, but I'm not going to be swimming. Can we all be okay with that? And they were like, yeah, mom, thanks for coming. I got in the car and drove to the swimming pool with a beautiful sunset background. I sat and watched my children swim and listened to their laughter and planned this podcast. And here's the thing, my friend, I did not know what podcast I was going to do today. I was racking my brain trying to decide from the different ideas I had jotted down, and nothing really felt authentic. But sitting here outlining this podcast with my kids swimming and the sunset in the background, I have more creativity to write something that could actually be useful to you because I chose to go. And that's not the only reason why I'm so glad that I honored both of the things I valued and chose to go to the swimming pool. Just a few moments ago, one of my sons came up to me and said, Mom, I was so glad when you called and said you were coming. And I said, oh, thanks, bud. Why did that make you happy? And with a sweet smile on his face, he said back to me, well, you being here just helps it have a good spirit. And even if you're not swimming with us, I'm glad you came, Mom. Love you. And he ran off and jumped in the pool. And I felt so grateful in that moment that I had showed up, not only for myself, but for my son. I sent him a message that day that being there with him mattered to me. And he obviously received that message because he voluntarily came and shared with me that it mattered to him. When we choose to live in a victim state where we feel reactive in our lives, just constantly searching for the end of the road where we can feel better on the other side, and we feel that victim energy, people around us feel it too. And we don't have to live there. We really, truly don't. But we all slip into it sometimes. And so when you're feeling that pull to believe the have to or need to voices, take a moment to ask these three questions. First, do I really even have to do this? And my friend, the answer to that question is always no. Always. And you might be like, well, I have to feed my kids. No, you don't. You don't have to feed your children, and you don't have to feed them whatever you planned for dinner. You're choosing that. You could choose not to feed them. You're choosing other consequences if you do, but it's still your choice. And when you remember that, it's freeing. So first, ask yourself if you have to, and remember that it's a choice. Second, ask yourself, what do I value right now? Reflecting on that bigger picture helps you not be reactive or sacrifice things that aren't important for the things that are more important. More on that next week, so make sure to tune in. The last important question that will help you stay out of a victim mindset is to curiously think about what you can do to honor those things that you value that came up instead of disregarding some and only thinking about the others. Now, you might say to me, yeah, well, Stephanie, I can't be at two places at once. And there are things that I have to choose between. valuing one thing and valuing another. And I 100% agree with you. I couldn't record the podcast at the pool, right? I had to do that at home. And I'm losing a little bit of sleep tonight, which I value, staying up later because I didn't record the podcast earlier. But here's the important thing to remember. I am still not a victim of this situation. I chose into it purposefully, knowing that this is what's happening. And that's what I invite you to do. Remember, you don't have to do anything. Think about what you truly value and then choose in to whatever you decide, knowing that you're the one creating your own experience. It's not happening to you. You are creating it and you get to choose. And you know what you really don't have to choose? You don't have to choose to be a victim of your life. You don't have to choose to put your feelings or your wants on hold until you have more time or you get to the other side of the thing that you're trying to accomplish so that you can finally relax. You also don't have to feel guilty for not being productive and spending time on things you love and value. You are not a victim of your work, your kids, your house, your dishes, your laundry, your in-laws, your goals, your to-do list, your life. This life, your life, it's a gift, a beautiful gift given to you, made possible by a God and a Savior who love you. And they don't want you to be burdened by this beautiful life experience. They want you to enjoy it, to thrive, to learn, to grow, and to honor what you value. And they will guide you to help you know what to do with your time so that it can be fulfilling and help you grow. Christ himself had 24 hours in his day, and we have no record of him running around, bustling, worrying about getting things done, and just chasing the next to do. He even gave us a beautiful reminder of that when he told Martha to remember the things that matter most. Choose into your life today, my friend, and let him guide you to live on purpose. Keep shining. Have a blessed day. Healing is possible. If you feel stuck on your healing journey, you do not have to stay there. I've created an empowering quiz that helps you know exactly why you're stuck, what phase you're at in your healing journey, and gives you 3 simple things you can do right now to help you move forward. All you have to do is go to thelightcoach.com/quiz and take this free 5-minute quiz. I promise it will help you move forward and create that life of peace, hope, courage, and joy that you want to live. It simply starts by taking a quiz and seeing what's possible. I can't wait to see what you create next.